Are we live? I think we are. And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Moisky live stream, PMQ response. I'm a little bit clueless on this one. I've watched it once, and I realised it wasn't about Iran, and it wasn't about Brexit. Well, for the most part. But it is about the NHS. Something I'm not, as much as I'd like it to be, as knowledgeable on the subject of. But the one time I did get to watch it, I did find some gaps, and I will outright say when someone doesn't answer the question, or if the question is utterly pointless. So, I'm going to turn the audio up on this, so that you can hear it.
Just questions, Jill Furness.
Right, well, second one, by the way, of the new year. I should, of course, quickly address everyone in the chat. Hello, Fairy Kitten. Hello, Cyrene. Thank you for the happy birthday. Hello, The Memes of Destruction. Hello, The Dead and the Damned. Hello, Draco Shift. Hello, The Dude Cow. Hello, Hazardous Pleb the 5th. Thank you for the birthday message. Hello to Chicken 2.0. Thank you for the birthmas message. Hello, Vanilla Bear and SCT Patrick and James R.A. Woodwright. Thank you for the happy birthday messages. I do appreciate it. It's been a busy day, and I shouldn't be here too long, to be fair. Not being... Thanks. I want to... Hello, Yorkshire Chick and Steve O'Kane and Globus Hystericus. Thank you for the birthday messages and burp day messages. And hello, Otaku Gamer Judas again. And yes, thank you again, Yorkshire Chick, for the happy birthday. We should dive into this. I don't want to be here too long because I want to do a patron hangout after the stream on Discord, and I've got a few other little jobs. Hello, Cactus Cream. Thank you, Cream. Thank you for the birthday message. So let's get into this.
Number one, Mr. Speaker.
Go on, Jill.
Go on, Jill. You're now Hazardous Pleb the 5th. You're welcome. Sorry, I wouldn't know that. Happy Moist Day to use. I appreciate that. And hello, Russell Burnham. Hello, Prospero058.
Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Just going to say from the offset, that is probably one of the very first times I've ever done a PMQ where there hasn't been a we should now pay tribute to and then insert vast quantities of tragedy and virtue. It's nice. Excuse me.
Mr. Speaker, last Thursday we received the devastating news that more than 350 steel jobs will be lost in Sheffield, Rotherham and Newport. Yet another blow for steel workers, their families and communities.
Because the companies went into administration because they didn't run the businesses properly, but apparently it's the government's job to make sure the companies know how to run themselves. Of course, my mistake.
When will the government bring forward a comprehensive plan for the steel industry that
It should also be noted that a number of those companies in the past had, in fact, been reached out to by the government, but kind of didn't, take the help.
tackles high energy costs, business rates and ensures that steel is at the heart of all public infrastructure plans. Action is needed now. Will the Prime Minister stay true to his word and repay the trust of communities that voted for him only last month?
Those communities didn't vote for him just because of the steel industry. Hello, Jensen Quinn. They voted for him because of Brexit and because Labour got cocky. Oh, and because of his pledge on the NHS, which he has to honour. Because he's managed to take away some of the Labour strongholds, he's now in a position where he has to now drive further to the middle instead of going further to the right where he would normally sit. They should move to China. Hello, Irate Alex. Thank you indeed for the birthday message. And Barmy B. Thank you very much.
I thank the Honourable Lady, and I can assure her that the government is indeed embarking on a plan to do everything we can to make sure that steel made in this country does have all the competitive advantages that it needs, and she makes some excellent points. In the particular case of Liberty Steel, I understand that all those affected, whatever happens, and it is a commercial decision for that company, will be offered an opportunity to remain within the GFG alliance by joining a new company.
Hello, Bill Whitaker, and I tend to agree, to be honest. And hello, Roxy. And also, the Prime Minister, yeah, he's pretty much right on that.
Sir Geoffrey Clifton Brown.
I should say before he asks his question, I was addressing the China thing, much like how the memes of 2016 with Trump saying China, where he says China instead. Yes. Hello, Edward Shaw. Hope you're having a fantastic evening.
The Conservative manifesto promises in relation to rollout of broadband and mobile phone signal are incredibly welcome. But would my right honourable friend agree that rural constituencies like mine, wherever they are in the United Kingdom, should not be left behind? And would he agree that these vital technologies should be rolled out, and would he set a firm timetable for their rollout?
I will say this is actually something I'm really, really passionate about. I genuinely want the country to have, well, top of the line internet access, especially. Hello, Kit and Katrina. Hope you're well, and thank you for the Happy Cake Day message. I will get some cake eventually. But where I live, for example, the upload rate at most is 4.5 megabits per second. And download as much as 20. This is not good. This is embarrassing for a country, because the lines are still, some even have to the house from the box, aluminium. But they're only recently updated to copper. I'm sorry, but they need to be fibre, you retards. And I know someone's going to get upset that I used the word retard. I do apologise. It was a misspeak. But it's really stupid to say, oh, we've made advancements, but you've not made an advancement. Don't explain the joke. Yes. Thank you. Thanks, Stanton High. I appreciate that. And hello, Stanton High. I hope you're well. I think that if you're saying, oh, we're making all these advancements, but we've still got aluminium, and you're boasting about copper, you and I need to have a discussion about what an actual advancement is. Because it's not something to brag about, to say, oh, we got hyper fast fibre optic up to the box at the end of your street, and then it's really damn slow. I would say, Russell Burnham, your upload rate is horrific. It's actually, though, I would say, it's still considered good, but actually it's really bad when compared to nations that not only have like vastly smaller economies than ours, but have 500. And that's not a joke. That's Norway, and that's standard. It's just insulting. Ah, dear. Starlink is looking promising. The House of Lords, I'm not going to give odds on that. It will go through.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, the Cotswolds needs broadband, and the Cotswolds are going to get gigabit broadband, Mr. Speaker, and that's why...
How about you give it to me first, please? I'm getting sick and tired of having my streams crash. No one cares about the Cotswolds. It's just loads of really wealthy people. And hello, Tom of Gulf City.
And we're putting £5 billion...
And Scotty8472.
...pounds into the rollout of gigabit broadband, and he asked for a deadline. He will get it 2025, Mr. Speaker.
Leader of the Opposition, Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I just put on record our pleasure at the return of the Northern Ireland Assembly and hopefully the restoration of the peace process in Northern Ireland? I know there's a statement coming on this after Prime Minister's question time.
I love that the peace process has been ongoing for so long, because it's so hard to get a bunch of drunks to agree to something.
Can the Prime Minister let the British people know why, after almost 10 years of Tory government, patients are waiting longer for essential NHS care, whether it's in A&Es, on waiting lists, or for a GP appointment?
Mr. Speaker.
I should say before he answers, this is I would argue, a reasonable question. The answer you're about to get does not answer the question at all, Boris. I'll explain why he didn't answer it there in a moment, because there is a reason.
Speaker, we are investing record sums into the NHS, and I think indeed the House should be very proud today that we are passing the NHS funding bill, which will guarantee such funding not just this year, but into the future.
So that didn't address the question at all, but the reason why is because the person opposite him, this shell of a man here, is not his opponent anymore. He's on his way out. He will soon be on the back benches. Therefore, he does not need to answer these questions to look good because he's not against somebody that is a reasonable, legitimate challenger. But yeah, Boris didn't answer, and that does annoy me, to be honest. He should have answered that question. It's an easy one. Deal with the waiting times. Oh, we'll throw more money at it. Oh, sorry, invest more money in it. That's not good enough, sorry.
Well, passing legislation that will guarantee underfunding of the NHS, yes.
Okay, that is a reference to the fact that Labour wanted to invest a lot more than any other party because they believed that was enough. The problem is there's never enough. And we also have to make sure that money invested in it is money we actually have. It's one of many issues with delays. There are a number of issues, and I'll be honest, immigration can be a part of it. It's tricky.
Mr. Speaker, the number of patients waiting more than 4 hours in A&E is now at its highest on record for the second month in a row. We've had months of...
In December and January, the use of the NHS kind of skyrockets. It always does around this time of year. So the fact it's on record isn't as much of a boast when you take into account things like population increase. Yeah.
Promises, but people need action. There probably isn't a family in the United Kingdom that hasn't been affected in some way by cancer. Yet last year we saw 1 in 4 patients waiting more than 2 months for the start of their cancer treatment. How many more patients will face what are life-threatening delays because our NHS is understaffed and underfunded? Yeah.
It will always be understaffed and underfunded because as we, for example, have parity of esteem with mental health and a lack of people ready to deal with that, we'll never have people truly able to deal with mental health crisis that we kind of have. Well, we do have. Try find a psychiatrist. It's not the easiest. I say this from experience, by the way. It's actually quite tricky because there aren't as many. As far as the question goes, the annoying thing is a lot of it is based on one big assumption on his part, and that is that what he offered was enough. But the people rejected it, so why is he still harping on as if it is still the right one? He has to accept that either he's wrong or he's, gone. He can't seem to accept it. Corbyn is a cancer. His heart's in the right place. He just has the wrong view about it. He believes, oddly, about throwing lots of money at things, but it's not the right position to have. You can hear a cat, can't you? One moment. I do have to let her in, otherwise she'll moan all night. Oh, look, you're trying to get through the netting. You want to keep trying? There you go. There you go. Now be quiet. Or I will have you removed again, and you'll be placed on the other side of the window. So shush. No. Stay there. Thank you. Right. Go away. Don't jump on that. Thank you. Right.
Mr. Speaker, as the right honourable gentleman knows, there is a massive demand on the NHS, which, as he also knows, is doing a fantastic job, particularly actually in oncology, where tremendous progress has been made. He's right to signal the delays that people are facing, and they are indeed unacceptable, and that is why we are investing in 50,000 more nurses. That's why we're investing in 6,000 more GPs, and that is why this government is investing record sums in the NHS. We will get those waiting lists down.
This pledge is a huge deal. There are a number of articles on that statement alone already, because now he has finally signalled something and said something very publicly that he will not abandon the NHS or leave it to, be sold off. The selling off thing, that's a debate for another time. But he has made it quite clear now He has to do more to help those who voted for him from the areas that were once Labour's. He has to do more about the NHS, and hopefully Matt Hancock, his health secretary, will get it right and not do what Jeremy Cunt did, because that was pretty bad.
20,000 of those 50,000 already work for the NHS, actually, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, trying to convince them to stay. Hello, Okie Native.
But delays in cancer treatment can reduce a patient's chance of survival. The target of 85% of patients to be seen within 2 months was last met 4 years ago in December 2015. Action is needed urgently. Last week we heard the heart-rending case of a 92-year-old RAF veteran in Leicester who had to go through the indignity of waiting almost 12 hours on a hospital trolley because there were no beds available.
Which is a damning statement of how busy the hospital was.
I want the government to apologise to him and many others, but to explain why, despite the extraordinary efforts of NHS staff all over the country, over 2,000 patients had to wait more than 12 hours before they could get into a hospital bed last month alone.
I would say, and I have to draw from experience here, my nearest hospital is QEQM in Margate, which is a considerable drive away from me. There is actually a local hospital down the road, but they don't have an A&E. The nearest A&E is there. There's one in Dover, I believe, but it's kind of no. So the nearest decent hospital is in Margate. And the waiting times have always been bad, because those hospitals are always busy. The only option would be to either build more hospitals or, I don't know, institute some kind of, extermination of everyone. Vote for me in 2020, everyone. I have my Infinity Gauntlet, so I will end all your lives now. Please stop climbing on me, cat. I would greatly appreciate it. Last time you stuck your claw in my arm.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as he's right to highlight the case of the RAF veteran, and I think everybody in this House will have every sympathy for people who have a bad and unacceptable experience in the NHS, and we all share that. On the other hand, I would say that most people in this country, most patients of the NHS, have a fantastic experience of our healthcare, and we should pay tribute to our nurses and our staff. And the hospital he mentions, the hospital at Leicester, is one of those which, as he knows, we are rebuilding under this programme. 14 new hospitals, 20 upgrades under this Conservative government.
The A&E has already been rebuilt in Leicester, actually, I understand it. The problem is the Prime Minister promised 40 hospitals. In reality, it was 20, then it became 6.
Yeah, some of that's a bit confusing. I don't actually understand how he's going to build 40 when it wasn't that at all. Hello, Jonas, Saki, and Astra.
Mr. Speaker, this issue of people waiting in trolleys is a very serious one. The number doubled in December and now at its highest ever level on record. The Prime Minister promised to put the Conservative Party's inadequate NHS funding pledge into law. Can he explain why it is necessary to cement into law a pledge which the Health Foundation has said is below the amount needed to maintain current standards of care?
Important question, and I will now address Russell Burnham's. Yes, bring your own sword. That's all I ask, and it had better be sharp.
Mr. Speaker, it's only under this Conservative government that we have the resources that will enable us to invest in our NHS.
So this is built on a premise from the Conservatives that there was never money to spend in the first place after all the cuts that had to be made out for austerity. Labour's position at present is to say that that was a political move and not an economic plan. One that is highly contestable and debatable. I tend to agree that it's not a political move, and it was the only thing I could think of at the time that it could be done to help our economy because it was in such a dire state. And we all suffered. I promise you I understand this, by the way. I spent so long unemployed. I really do understand it. Living on £5 a week for food and everything else I needed. Come on. I fully understand this. For 5 years? 4 or 5 years? It was ridiculous. Thank you, Burnham. Yes, sword and trident. One of us. I just have to bring my gauntlet. I'll just snap. It's all good. Excuse me. Yes, so continuing on. I don't agree with Labour's position, and I think it would be interesting to see how this progresses.
And it's because of the stewardship of the economy after the wreckage that Labour left when they were in office.
Chicken 2.0. I totally understand this. They are absolutely stretched thin, and it's a big problem. How do we get the staff? How do you get the numbers? Because throwing more money at something is one thing, or investing. But as we know, every government that ever comes in messes with the NHS, creates more bureaucracy, and it just it just becomes more expensive for the bureaucratic side. Less being spent on patient care and the doctors and nurses, which is a problem. Hopefully, he stays true to his word, because all we can do now, he has a mandate. We have to now wait and see if he honours what he says he'll do. And if the results show good things happening, then he's keeping his word. Then he's doing exactly what he has to do to get re-elected. He's got 5 years. This man's got 5 years to prove his point. I'll give him a chance. Omegon Snap sounds like a sweet ginger cookie because of a channel suggestion by Saki. Nice. I like it.
That we've been able to make those colossal investments, and I would remind him. Not only was it this Conservative government that rebuilt the A&E, as he correctly points out, it is this Conservative government that will be rebuilding the entire hospital, and we are putting more money into the NHS as a direct result of our careful management of the economy.
Jeremy Corbyn.
It should be pointed out that they could, in reality, actually throw more money at it. If they didn't invest in, for example, building new homes. Yeah. There's some extra money. I mean, we don't need new houses, do we now?
Well, I understand another hospital has been closed to pay for it, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, I'd heard about that, actually, but I didn't have a chance to look into that. If that's true, then that's a real dick move. However, I'm not sure if that's true or not. Are you old? No, you're not, Russell. Ray Dale, welcome. Finland's biggest hospital got a helicopter, and almost every critical case gets brought with that. Someone I know got shipped with that, and he got shot in the eye. Quick comparing to the 3-hour drive. That is actually really cool that they got treated like that. Prospero, this is the problem with top-down design. The bureaucracy eats the money before it gets to the hospital and patients. Exactly. I don't agree. I do believe some of those people who work in the NHS get bonuses as well. I don't agree with that, but I don't know enough. I need to look into it more. But yeah, we need to help rebuild, get more people into healthcare, incentivize it as well. I tend to agree. Actually, Barmy B actually has a good argument, but it is a costly one. But I think it'd be interesting to see what Boris can do.
The question is, why would the government need to put into law an inadequacy of funding for our National Health Service?
Oh boy, inadequacy and yet record levels. Okay. First of all, it's not record levels, it actually matches... No, it's still not... Let's just... This next bit.
There are health professionals have said the NHS needs more money than the government is saying in order to keep patients safe.
Experts that are, who again? Yeah.
It's now been almost 3 years since the government promised a green paper on social care, and 7 months since the Prime Minister himself stood on the steps of Downing Street and said he had prepared a clear plan to fix the crisis in social care. Well, what's the hold-up? Where's the plan?
Oh dear, oh dear.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm delighted by his constructive attitude, Mr. Speaker, because as he knows, we do intend to begin with cross-party talks to build a consensus. And I think there is a growing consensus in this country on the need to tackle the issue of social care so that everybody has dignity and security in their old age. Nobody has to sell their home to pay for the cost of their care. We can do it, and we will do it. With the help and cooperation of the Labour Party and other parties in this House, we will go ahead with a fantastic fantastic plan for social care. I look forward to his support, but I would point out to him that it is thanks to this Conservative stewardship of the economy that we are now, and indeed
I feel like a rehashing of... it feels like a very odd flex. Look what we did. We fixed the economy. Okay? People are still mad at you for taking all the money away, though, yeah? All right, yeah? Okay.
The mandate of the people that we have, that we are now able to tackle a problem that was shirked not just by the Labour Party, but for governments for decades after decades. And we're going to do it now.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know if the Prime Minister had a chance to read the Labour manifesto in the election, but we made it very clear.
Oh, no.
We have a plan.
It was rejected.
We have a plan, a very
It was rejected.
clear one.
It was rejected.
It is. It is free personal care, it is more funding, and it is support for carers. And we're very happy.
And it was rejected.
I'm very happy to send him another copy of our manifesto so he can read it.
I'll be honest, if I want to use your manifesto for anything, it would be in an emergency when all the loo roll has run out. And that would include my emergency rolls that I bought from Poundland that has Poundland bog roll written on it.
The Prime Minister has said many times he's going to put this NHS funding issue into law. But all this gimmick means is even longer waiting lists, more delays for cancer patients and more A&E departments bursting at the seams, while patients continue to suffer while he continues to provide excuses. If he's really committed to fixing the crisis his government has created over the last decade, he should end the empty rhetoric and back our proposals to give the NHS the funding it needs, rather than putting into law an insufficiency of funding. The NHS is...
This constant argument about it being insufficient funding, there's never enough money. Even your manifesto, people are saying it's not enough. So what are you talking about?
our most precious national institution.
It's one of the few left. I mean, it's better than BBC, I'll give them that.
Fund it properly.
With what? Can we sell your house, please? Because I'd like to use it to fund the NHS.
Everyone can rely on it. Those that cannot afford private healthcare.
The private healthcare thing. Firstly, if anyone can afford private healthcare, good on you. Good on you. Okay, that's fine. That's your decision. I'm not going to begrudge you because you're able to do that. As far as, and it's a really stupid little bit of shade to throw at someone. Oh, you've earned the right to do that, but you're a bad person for doing it. How dare you? No. I do agree we need more doctors, more nurses, we need more staff, we need more hospitals. I agree. But we have to trust that the plan he's put forward will start to help. We have to, because that's all you can do now. You've lost anyway, Corbyn. It's not like you can actually do anything against him.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm delighted he's still fighting on the manifesto that he submitted to the attention of the British people at the last election. I think it was pretty clear what they thought of it, what they thought of the credibility of the promises that he made. But it was also clear what they thought of what we're going to do, because they see that we are the party of the NHS, Mr. Speaker. They see that it is this government that invests in hospitals, in schools, in policing, in bringing crime down. And that is because it is this government whose careful stewardship of the economy has led to record employment, record low unemployment, which delivers the tax revenues that enables us to pay for the whole of society. Whenever Labour is in office, Mr. Speaker, they wreck the economy and they put unemployment higher and make us less able to pay for great public services.
There is a weird trend here that whenever Labour's been in power, when they've left, the economy's been worse than when they started. It's not to say the Conservatives are any better when they lose office, but it's a damning statement when people then use it against you because your history, your track record is not that great. Then again, previous Labour leaders, who was anything like Corbyn? I think Corbyn was quite distinctive in how he sat politically because he didn't agree with most of them. Oh yes, rubbishy crap. Blackford. Oh Jesus Christ!
We're taking this country forward. They would take it backwards.
Smash like.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Despite the clear improvement in educational standards...
Before he does his question, I would say Corbyn did ask some legitimate questions there. I do agree. Some of his questions about waiting times and investment and about the hospital issues with selling of hospitals and funding, to be honest, that is legitimate. That is actually a really legitimate question to ask, and I tend to think it's the right thing to do. But because he is a lame duck, Boris doesn't have to answer him. In fact, that's going to be a growing trend until, what, the end of February or something? Come on, this is ridiculous. But we have to wait it out, and hopefully he will change tact, because this is what happened last week. He obsessed over Iran and looked like a fool. While he has obsessed over the NHS, he's obsessed over it from the wrong position. The position of, but I'm still right. Which is really bad because the public rejected you. Therefore, you must instead focus your questions on some very key aspects and not attack the party for being the party, or attack people for having money, or for not investing enough money. Ask the Prime Minister questions like, what is the Prime Minister going to do to increase employment within these sectors when we have yet to fully be able to do that based on the current model, as in funding? That's a good question. In fact, the answer to that is really tricky. And Boris won't answer it, and he'll look stupid. While he doesn't have to answer it, at least then I would take your side. Let's carry on. I want to go to the paper pervert, so let's... Right, I'm going to skip back a little bit because I want the announcement part. Ready?
The House in due course on our proposals.
Oh, get your paper ready, everyone. It's paper pervert time. We got this. Touch that paper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I congratulate all the parties in Northern Ireland for reformulating the Northern Ireland Executive? Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister.
Oh, here we go, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to give you a chance. What do you think he is going to spend 2 questions talking about? And how much of it is Trump's fault? I'll even give you 10 seconds to work this out. Da, 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 da. Yeah, that's best I could do, really. But by all means, work this out. Deep breaths, everyone. You know what's coming. You know what he's going to talk about. You know exactly what he's going on about already. You're right. Scottish independence, everyone.
Sent a letter to the First Minister of Scotland, rejecting the democratic right of the people of Scotland to have a choice over their own future. Mr. Speaker.
Because it was a once-in-a-generation thing. There is a position, an argument to be made, that perhaps the vote was wrong because of the original terms of it being that we stay in the EU. Well, the rest of the UK disagreed, okay?
Speaker, this was not a surprise. The Prime Minister is a democracy denier. Okay, we've got control here, everyone. So, a democracy denier in a room filled with conservatives, basically, who run the agenda now. Okay. It is not to deny democracy in Scotland that Scotland doesn't get another independence referendum. It is that you voted, and you voted to remain. He is in charge and supersedes, he is top dog over all of it. Okay? You are a part of the United Kingdom. Therefore, as a devolved administration, what you want means exactly jack shit. But the letter was amazing, by the way. I say to the Prime Minister, as his colleagues privately admit, this position is undemocratic, unacceptable, and completely unsustainable.
That's not true. He can do this to you for 5 more years at least. Just imagine another 5 years of this tubby, short, balding moron Oh, yes. And I know it doesn't look like it is, but the back of the head, come on. Going on about Scottish independence. Just, the salt. Oh, yes.
The Prime Minister has shown utter contempt for Scottish democracy.
Lol. Oxymoron.
For Scotland's Parliament and for Scotland's people.
But your Parliament is second to ours. That's what it is. It's a devolved administration. It's not the actual administration. You have some powers. Jesus, you're amazing at this.
Does the Prime Minister accept that by ignoring Scotland, imposing Brexit with his pursuance of cruel and punishing policies, that he's strengthening the
What policies?
case for Scottish independence?
No, because there were polls done even in your country when this was all going on. Your country doesn't want to leave, you retard. No, I'm not going to say that. I'll get into trouble again. Carry on. I do apologise to people who get offended by that word.
Mr. Speaker, it was not only the right honourable gentleman who leads the SNP in this House, it was also Alex Salmond and his protégé, Nicola Sturgeon, who said at the time of the referendum that it was a once-in-a-generation event. He said it, they said it, they were right then. Why have they changed their mind? He is the denier. He is the denier of democracy.
Ray Dale, I don't actually remember who made this masterpiece. I really wish I did. It was given to me as a gift. I had to crop it around the image to get the PNG. And it's just fantastic. But I hope you like it. I hope everyone likes it. The Paper Pervert is here to stay, and I love it.
Andrew Griffith!
Very good.
Another question.
So the speaker just made a mistake because he forgot that Blackford gets 2. The next one is now basically the shot at Trump. More deep breaths, everyone.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's party, the Conservative Party, signed up to the Smith Commission that recognised the right of the people of Scotland to determine their own future. That's the reality. The Prime Minister lives in a fantasy land, but people across Scotland know the reality of this Prime Minister's broken Brexit Britain. The truth is, the only union that the Prime Minister is truly interested in is his union with Donald Trump.
It's a sexual one, everyone.
Partnership that threatens to sell off our precious National Health Service. Mr.
Citation needed.
Speaker, only yesterday the Prime Minister called for the replacement of the Iran nuclear deal with, as he put it, a Trump agreement.
Yeah.
The public deserves the truth. What backroom deals are being done with Donald Trump?
Lol. You conspiracy... you basically are a scaremonger. It's all backdoors. It's all naughty. We should do it in the light so everyone can see. And even if it was done in the light, everyone saw every word on the table. He'd be like, but what happened under the table when their toes were touching?
Why is the Prime Minister putting our NHS at risk? Repeatedly during the election campaign, the Prime Minister promised time and time again the NHS is not for sale. Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister now commit to supporting the Scottish National Party's proposal for an NHS protection bill?
Actually, I tend to actually be okay with this. Something that if people are so scared of the NHS being sold off, then how do you guarantee that nothing ever happens to it? You enshrine it in law to protect it. And you don't just blindly shout no like others were. This is actually a reasonable thing to talk about.
Without that commitment, what price will this Prime Minister make us pay for his toxic Trump deal?
So first of all, there's no information on the toxic Trump deal yet, so we can't call it a toxic Trump deal because we don't know anything about it yet. As far as the NHS goes, actually, I think it's a really interesting idea because it's something I have myself said many times on this channel. However, because he's sprinkled the interesting that I find fascinating around all the stupid of Trump, not Trump being stupid, but all the paranoia that comes from Blackford on Trump, yeah, it doesn't look good. And the Conservatives that are shouting no at the idea, I actually think you're wrong, guys, and we should talk about it. In fact, to any Conservative MP watching, if you ever do, you are cordially invited, if you shouted no, to come here and tell me why you say no.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, the SNP welcomed our statement on the JCPOA yesterday. But you know, seriously, the problem with the SNP, Scotland under the SNP is the highest taxed part of the UK.
Pushing people out of Scotland into the north of England. Well done. We should really rebuild Hadrian's Wall.
Deficit is 6 times the UK average. Maths and science in schools is actually going down in the PISA rankings. It's unlike any other part of the United Kingdom. That is no fault of the pupils of Scotland, by the way. It is the fault of the government of Scotland under the SNP who are not giving them the chances they deserve because they are obsessed with breaking up the United Kingdom. Change the record.
Right. Pretty conclusive. I will say, while he did answer some parts, he didn't answer the questions as well as he could have, instead focusing on this, we did this management with the economy. As far as Blackford goes, Scottish independence, Trump, and actually one rather really interesting point about enshrining it in a bill. I actually think that's good. And hello, Desert Sheep. Yes, and Based Welshman. I do apologise to others I haven't said hello to. I really am sorry. I'm not the best at noticing. I'm really bad at that. I'm very sorry. As today is my 34th, I'm now going to go and chill on Discord and talk to patrons. Because that is what I do on Wednesdays. And I just want to relax a little before I have to do overtime tomorrow. So thank you very much for joining. To the 99 people here, smash like. Because I'd really appreciate it. Because it helps the stream as well, especially that. There will be a video here tomorrow. I have the video already written. It'll be here. I took the day off because birthday. So yes, I'm going to go and do other things. Thank you very much for joining, and I will see you all tomorrow and on Friday. Bye.